Hello, and welcome to A Lady Well Traveled. I'm Shannon Bednarova. I'm your host and creator. I'm so delighted that you've chosen to join us today. I'm thrilled to introduce our wonderful guest. Her name is Belinda Coker. She has traveled extensively around the world. She's hiked across Greenland. She's done a lot of really, really amazing things. She's also started the House Sitting Collective, and we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. So, Belinda, please say hello to our listeners.
Hello, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day.
Absolutely. When you and I were doing our preliminary meeting, hashing out what we wanted to talk about during our podcast, we both learned that we had a lot in common with regard to traveling as women and in midlife and how we rediscovered our lost selves through traveling. Can you share what you have learned through traveling about yourself and how traveling can be just a wonderful friend, a therapist, and a way to get back to God and to nature?
Absolutely. So let's go back to midlife. I mean, midlife can be quite a scary time because I actually refer to it as middlescence because you've got emotional, you've got physical, you've got hormonal changes that you also have, like when you were going through adolescence. But we also have identity transitions as well. You know, we might have been a mother for so long, and then suddenly our children have flown the coop. Or we might have been in corporate for so long, and then suddenly we don't have a job anymore.
Right.
And so many things can happen to us. For me, when I turned 55, I looked in the mirror and I realized that I had been wearing a mum hat, a wife hat, a corporate hat, and I hadn't worn a Belinda hat for a very, very long time. And I kind of felt that I had really lost myself. I had lost myself in body as well. I felt like my self-care had disappeared. And
Sure.
so what I feel that travel does to you is it encourages you to step outside your comfort zones and to make decisions and solve problems on the move. Yes, we can all make decisions in the home. What are we going to have for dinner? What new car are we going to buy? What am I going to wear today? All that kind of, stuff, which at the end doesn't really matter. But, when you're actually traveling, you are making quite substantial decisions sometimes, and that can really put you out of your comfort zone and really challenge you, but in a good way. And then when you're meeting other travelers and engaging with local communities, that provides a connection and inspiration and a sense of a shared experience that you don't have with your local coffee club, with the girls that you walk with around every Wednesday at 10 a.m. When you're out of your comfort zone and you start meeting other people, it just expands your horizons
Sure.
in such a way that it almost makes you feel alive again.
I
Yeah.
think that's just so important. You've shared with me that you're a person of faith, as I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about being in nature and hiking, walking through the forest or on
Yeah.
the beach or in the mountains or in some kind of beautiful part of God's creation
Yeah.
is so profoundly healing to us as women or to
Mm.
all of us. Why do you think that is?
Okay, well, my favorite quote is actually John Muir. I'd rather be in the
Yeah.
mountains thinking about God than in church thinking about the mountains. And that's just me. When you look at going into a park, back garden, anywhere, and you look at a leaf, it's an extraordinary, amazing, complex organ of nature that functions as a miniature self-repairing solar factory. Literally, that's what a leaf is. And, beyond their beauty, leaves are the primary engines for life on earth. Now, if that can't give you the fear of God, what else can? I mean,
Ex-
it is just the most, a leaf. A leaf is just amazing. So when it comes to traveling, Philip Yancey, who was the editor of Christianity Today, he gave this amazing analogy. Always think back to it. Okay, so when we're stuck in our daily rhythm and we tend to treat God like a bank manager, right? God, everything's going amazing. You see him across the road, give him a wave. Okay, shit hits the fan. you're in his office down on your knees.
Right.
But when you're traveling, you constantly stop and admire the world, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you reflect how amazing this planet is. Traveling, or at least slow travel, just makes us do that. I love being in a different country and listening to a family through the open window, sitting down and have dinner. They'll be talking about, they'll be talking in a completely different language, but it's just amazing to just see the world in its entirety and not just your little world that you live in.
I think it forces us to slow down
Yeah,
and to look at the world with new eyes,
yeah.
maybe the eyes of a child, because we stop and we see the beauty and we
Mm,
see the realness, the authenticity of the
yeah,
world around us.
right.
We take things for granted
Yeah,
so often. We don't recognize the beauty of the tree outside or
yeah.
the gloriousness of the lawn or the
I
beautiful flowers that we
yeah,
see every day. I think when we travel, we do actually pay more attention to
mm,
what we're seeing and we appreciate it more because it's new and it's
yeah,
fresh. I so agree that it does make us more aware of our creator and what was put in the world for us to enjoy every single day. And I think your analogy of the bank manager was very,
I just
very
I
good,
just
very
love it.
astute. I do too. I like
You
that.
know, and we've all been, we've all done it,
Of
to
course.
some degree. It is just so important to, to sit back and just see, just look and experience and, you know, mm,
Yes,
appreciate.
absolutely. I know that you believe person gains confidence in themselves by simply taking action.
Right.
So maybe that is the first step into the unknown, and it doesn't have to be a gigantic step.
No.
Just some kind of action. Doesn't have to
Mm.
be a monumental thing. So, can you tell me how this brings lasting change in a person?
Yeah, absolutely. I think confidence shows up after you do. And
Yes,
so when
yes.
you take that first step, like lots of people, especially when they get to middle age, they're in a comfortable place. Everything is comfortable. Their house, everything is comfortable. And then for them to actually step out and do something which is uncomfortable can be quite scary. But when all you need to do is just to take a tiny step, and once you've done that, go, well, that wasn't so bad after all. I
Mhm.
think I can take the next step. And that can be as simple as maybe going to another city for a weekend and just going out and seeing a show or
Mhm.
something like that. A lot of people, they feel they can't travel because they don't want anyone to travel with, or
Right.
they financial burdens, or they might have people at home that they need to take care of. But sometimes you need to look after yourself, and you do need to be able to just take a break. Now, as we were saying before, we can swap the word hike for the word walk, because
Right.
walking in amongst nature as opposed to walking around your suburban street is far more beneficial for you, and physiologically as well as psychologically. So um, yeah, I just think, just take one small step and your confidence will gain in momentum. Yeah.
Just simple things like going out to dinner or to lunch by yourself. A lot of people are
Yeah.
horribly afraid of doing that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
find it something that's take a great book, go out and enjoy, go
Yeah.
have a picnic on the beach by yourself.
People that are too scared to do that, I've got a great solution for you.
In that vein, you and I have talked about a lot of wonderful things that can help people build their confidence. And especially as they're getting older and stepping outside of that box, we want to really focus on today is a wonderful venture that you have started. Belinda, I want you to tell us about the House Sitting Collective. This is a program that connects people who love to travel with wonderful real homes and a lot of locales. I want you, in your own words, to tell people exactly what it is and why you came up with this idea.
Okay, first of all, I'll talk about what is house sitting. House
Fabulous.
sitting is when you go and stay in somebody else's home while they go away on vacation, but you treat it as a vacation yourself and you end up staying in a nice home. Normally, they are nice homes, and you can actually choose where you want to go as well.
Okay.
And so your accommodation is free. And most of the time, it's looking after a cat or a dog or a bird or chickens in the garden or something.
Mhm.
I've had a house sit before where I just looked after, 6 chickens in the garden. All I had to do was collect the eggs every day. It was great. So what it is it's staying in somebody's house while they go away, looking after their pets or their plants or the house, and you treat it as a holiday, or for some people, especially retirees who do it full time, as myself and my husband do
Mhm.
now, while we've taken early retirement and we hike a lot, but in between hikes, we house sit. We actually house sit throughout the UK and Europe as well. So we stay in these lovely big houses in between our hikes.
That is so cool.
It
Okay.
is. For anybody who just ears pricked up before when I said just a couple of days in a nearby city and go
Mhm.
out and see a matinee or something like this, this is for you, especially
Yeah.
if staying alone in a hotel scares you or if you're financially strained.
Mm.
This
Okay.
could be for you.
How can house sitting change the way that people experience a destination compared to staying in an Airbnb or a hotel?
So when you're in a hotel, you are in a small room with a bed and chair in the corner,
Mhm.
desk and bathroom, of course, and it's costing you, right? You're also paying a deposit. When you're house sitting, you have a natural flow of a house. So I've stayed in some very, very big houses. But you have a kitchen, you have a living room, you have a bathroom, you have a bedroom. And when you actually cooked a meal, you can then just go and curl up by the fire and
Mm.
a glass of wine or whatever. It feels like a home. It doesn't feel like a sterile hotel. The other good thing is you have a full kitchen. Some of the kitchens I've stayed at have got all the appliances that I would have in my kitchen at home.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and it's so nice to be able to go to the grocery store, get some chicken or something, put it in the air fryer. There's a lot of things that you don't have when you're in an Airbnb. That sometimes you're lucky to have a saucepan and a frying pan. Suddenly, your restaurant bills have been
Yeah.
basically removed from the equation. This is very good for people who have diet restrictions as well.
Mhm.
I mean, I know that finding a vegan restaurant or anything like that, you can end up paying a fortune. For some reason, vegan restaurants are incredibly expensive.
Mhm. They
I
sure
don't
are.
I don't know why.
I
And,
know. Get less, but pay more.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, but, you can go somewhere and experience it in another place and experience life or holiday in another place and still have all the conveniences of being at home. And you don't pay for any accommodation and you're also cooking at home. Of course, that's going to bring your bills down straight away. And the other thing is, from a safety point of view, a lot of
Mm.
solo people traveling sometimes feel a little bit unsafe or uncomfortable traveling alone. And this can be a great way of finding somewhere to go. And you've got the house with security.
Mm.
You might have a nice dog that's going to bark like crazy every time somebody comes to the dog. And then, of course, you've got the tactile oxytocin hit of stroking a pet. And that can be
Yes.
wonderful for anyone who suffers from anxiety or some people who may be slightly neurodivergent.
Mhm.
Having a pet can be a very, very calming. And, it's really nice to actually have a dog. I'm house sitting at the moment in a gorgeous British mansion. I'm in the library right now,
Mhm.
but I've got a gorgeous dog that I'm taking for beautiful walks on the hills in Suffolk in the UK. It is just stunning and get that exercise as well. If I don't want to walk, I need to keep my exercise up because I hike. If I don't want to walk, I'll get a house sit with a cat or goldfish or
Right.
chickens as I've had.
It's kind of up to you, a
Yeah, yeah,
bird or
well, yeah,
whatever. Yeah. I love
yeah.
that.
So that's it. Yeah.
All right, we've talked about the saving money aspect of the accommodations. So, are you not having to pay anything for these accommodations?
Yeah.
in trade for you house sitting and taking care of the pet and the plants and the chickens, possibly,
Yeah.
watering, the garden. Or
Yeah.
tell our listeners how much they can realistically save.
Okay, so first of all, you haven't got your accommodation costs, so that's a
Okay.
big one. Your Wi-Fi and your electricity and those sorts of costs are
Right.
covered as well. In the USA and Canada, you can usually get the use of the car. That's not as common in the UK and Europe because the insurance is usually put to the person, not the car.
Mhm.
Whereas in the Canada and the USA, people's insurance is for the car, so it doesn't matter who's driving it. So,
Right, right.
so car hire all of a sudden isn't usually an option. And the other one, big one, is food. And we
Okay,
mentioned
yeah.
before, well, okay, an Airbnb has a kitchen, but it might have pepper and salt, and if you're lucky. So
Mhm.
most homeowners more than happy for you to use, the oil and the spices, and you just need a little bit of flour or something like that. They're
Right.
more than happy for you to use basic pantry items,
Mhm.
staples. So all of a sudden, making a meal can be a lot easier. I mean, I've made meals in Airbnbs, and you really are restricted.
That's true.
That's a big one. So your accommodation and car, if you're in North America, and also New Zealand and Australia, usually you can use the car as well. Shopping at a local market, and we do quite a lot of house sitting in Spain, and so
Mhm.
we would be able to go down to the local market where the locals shop. So you're not
Right.
in a touristy area, and you're not buying paying tourist prices or inner city supermarket prices. You can buy where the locals shop. That itself is quite a substantial cost saving.
Exactly. Now, when you are staying one of these wonderful places, do they leave you a guidebook or an assistance book? I
Yeah.
know a lot of times at an Airbnb, they'll leave you a book that will say, we recommend this. These restaurants, and we recommend that you go here to shop, and we recommend this is where you go to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Do some of these homes also give you that kind of guidance insofar as what you do?
Some people are a little bit, they're very much, here's the house, I've got to go see you. I'm
Yeah,
going away
see
on
you
holiday.
later, find it,
Right.
figure it
But
out, yeah.
other people just write, tons and tons of information.
How
But we
nice,
actually
yeah.
have forms on our website for all the emergency contact numbers, where your nearest hospital, pharmacy, doctor,
Right, right.
dentist, and all that sort of thing. I'll just give you an example of where I am right now. I mean,
Mhm.
I've literally got a whole list of walks in the area right
Nice.
next to a lovely cafe, but I've also had the neighbors drop in and invite me over for coffee as well. Across
Great.
the road, I've got this lovely, I think he's about 96 years old. His
Oh,
name's
my.
John. He used to be an architect. My gosh, I have learned so much about British architecture. It's just incredible. I love the people that I've actually spoken
Sure.
to and met. Has been pretty neat.
Yeah. That's fantastic. You've told us that you've been in the British Isles, Europe, America, Canada, Spain. What other destinations are available to house sit in? Now, are we talking about some that you've always dreamt of, like bucket list places? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I have house sat throughout throughout Europe. I've house sat in Germany and France and Spain, and Portugal. There are house sits available. There's certain apps where you can get these house sits, and I have them listed on my website. They're great places to go to find your house sits, and you can filter it by where you want to go. There are ones all over the world, predominantly America, North America, and
Mhm.
I'm including Canada, the USA, and Mexico in that
Mhm.
whole continent. Then you've got Australia, New Zealand, and British Isles, and the whole of Europe. I haven't really looked outside of that, but I have seen them pop up every now and then. I
Mhm.
have loved every country. I have literally loved them all. I spent a lot of time on Vancouver Island. Oh my gosh, that is the most gorgeous island.
Oh, how neat. Yes.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, for anyone who is listening in our audience right now, there are so many options, is what
Mm.
Belinda's telling us. She's
Yeah.
saying a lot of places that you've ever dreamt of going, you can probably find a house sitting opportunity
Yeah.
in pretty much anywhere you might want to go. So
Yeah.
that's great to know. Tell me, what does slow travel through house sitting look like? I know that's kind of a trendy term right now, slow travel.
It's a bit like
But
slow cooking.
well, it's like slow cooking and slow everything. But I think there's something I always like to call it immersive travel. To
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
that's maybe a more descriptive term. We always laugh. We say you're not Griswolding it through and just everything is rush, 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 rush.
Yeah.
I've got to see everything that this city has to offer in 2
Yeah.
days. You
Yeah.
where you're taking your time and you're sitting in the cafe or you're
Mm.
lingering over dinner or you're,
Mm.
just take a day to sit in the park or on the
Yeah.
beach or whatever
Yeah.
it is. Tell me how you can use your house sitting adventure to further your slow travel or your immersive travel experience.
Well, I suppose the first thing is that you are living like a local.
Mhm.
And so you're walking the same streets that the locals walk, you're the local cafes, the local bars, the local restaurants.
Mhm.
Everyone loves the concept of the local restaurant because it must be much better than the
Yeah.
restaurant in the touristy city, and it
Yes.
probably is. But also there's things like and this is for people who are regular churchgoers. Some people just don't want to go on holiday because they don't want to be away from their church. And that is actually very, very important for people. But I have treated as a great opportunity to explore what churches in other countries, and
Absolutely.
it's kind of fun. And I've met
Mhm.
some lovely people that way. So and just
Mhm.
exploring how this a local community lives elsewhere. And especially if you can speak a bit of Spanish, but you're not that great, you have to make yourself known, understood. That can be great if you're wanting to brush up on your Spanish. I mean, I got myself into a little village near the Black Forest in Germany, and not one person spoke English, not one.
Oh
And
my.
they had this gorgeous little restaurant kind of
Mhm.
bar down in the village. That was all that there was, just this one
Yeah.
restaurant and bar. It really had the quintessential big German lady with the bear things coming out.
Heineken großen Bären.
And it was and it was cash only,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
had no cash.
No
And,
cash.
let me have the beer, and it ended up that she knew where I was staying, and she said, "I'll just get the money from him later. That's fine. You have this, dear." But it really is quite lovely, especially if you're in a small village. Everybody knows
Mhm.
everybody. I've had pies baked for me.
Oh my, that's so nice.
Brought over. That was actually in Wisconsin. This lovely
Oh,
lady came over with this pie. I mean, you know how Americans are really good with their pies.
yep, that's true.
How sweet was that?
It's lovely. Well, and I love speaking of churches, I know one of the things that I really enjoy is because the churches in Europe and Great Britain tend to be so gorgeous and they're
Mm,
so ancient, going into a church and participating in a service.
yeah,
I may not even understand the language, but
yeah.
I do understand that our God and our Christ is being worshiped,
Oh,
and the
yeah,
music is so beautiful. I've heard the nuns sing at Sacre
yeah.
Coeur, and that is
Wow, wow.
just one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Yeah,
You don't necessarily have to understand or speak the language to have a
that's right.
beautiful, beautiful worship service. You can
Yeah.
just enjoy yourself no matter
Mm,
what.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Who do you say tends to thrive with the house sitting lifestyle when they're traveling? Okay.
It's a great one for solo travelers, but also if you wanted to do one with a girlfriend or your husband. I've actually done one with a girlfriend once. I
Mhm.
was going off to do one. It was the one in France, actually. We got notified and said, would you like to come? And I said, well, yes. I was supposed to be meeting a girlfriend, and I said, look, do you want to come and do this with me? And it was at the base of Chamonix, down
Yeah.
Mont Blanc, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And we just went for lovely hikes all the time, and it was wonderful. So, quite often, you don't have to do it by yourself. And also, retirees, it's a great way to travel because it's not expensive. A lot of retirees really are watching their pennies, and this is a great way to not feel like you're missing out on life.
Mhm.
It is a wonderful way to experience the golden years. And the other one is people who are a little bit anxious, maybe they're a little bit neurodivergent, and being able to be in a home, which is away from a loud, busy place and restaurants or hotels where everything can be a little bit hectic, and
Mhm.
going into somebody's home can just be very calming. I also think it's great for middle age people as well because for once we can do something for ourselves. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed on your website that you have an entire course on house sitting. Can you talk about that? Because I might think, well, gosh, I know how to take care of a house. But then when you think about it, that's a lot of responsibility for someone because you're going into a complete stranger's home. Um, and you need to know what you're getting involved in. Now, I know there's probably a certain type of etiquette. There have to be rules. Can you talk about this course and why you would recommend that for people who are interested in house sitting?
Absolutely. In my course, I have 3 courses, and I've got the big foundation course, which goes through absolutely everything. We
Okay.
go into how to build your profile. I teach people how to use power words in such a way that it evokes trust so that the homeowners will be able to read it and pick you above other people. The
Hmm.
house sitting world is growing exponentially. I think
Hmm.
12% last year per annum. By 2030, I think it was going to be worth about 30 billion or something like that, and I
My
mean, it's huge.
community, yes, there's tons of competition out there, and we have to sell ourselves if we
Yeah,
want to be a house sitter because I think it's a two-way street, isn't it?
exactly.
Because the people who are looking for house sitters are going to be looking for people that they view as trustworthy,
Yeah,
reliable,
yeah.
competent.
And reviews are so important. My course actually teaches you how to get the great reviews,
Go.
everything that you need to do to get the 5-star reviews. And the 5-star reviews means that you get invited. Like
Mm,
people constantly contact us and say, "Can you come here? Can you come to Chamonix in France?" Yeah,
right.
I
How wonderful. Yes.
it is important. It's so important to be able to write your profile. I also teach how to write your applications. Your profile is like your shop window.
Mhm.
Your application is like somebody actually walks into the shop, and that's when you sell yourself to them, as I can take care of your pets. There's an app that we use called Trusted House Sitters.
Yes.
Sometimes a sit can literally go in 20 minutes. It's that fast.
Wow.
I teach the best way to do it.
Mhm.
The high profile ones, the ones like a weekend in New York. There are a lot of young people that are wanting to do this as well. And
Mhm.
popular things on my course is I can actually sell my courses as a gift. I've
Mhm.
had a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm just going to get this for my niece." As a Christmas present because
Yeah.
she's feeling a bit directionless at the moment. A lot of young people don't actually realize what it takes and what you need to do. I think our generation, we know how to keep a house tidy, but it's still good to be able to get the basics down.
Mhm. That is very important. That was one of the things I was gonna ask is, yeah, is it just you're having to instruct people how to keep a house?
Yeah,
What do they need to do to make sure everything is neat and
yeah,
clean and
yeah,
better than it was left before you got there?
yeah.
My mom always said to me, "You wanna make sure you're the perfect house guest so you get invited back." You
Yes.
ways you want to be helpful, kind,
Yeah,
and considerate, and
yeah,
because that's the way you get invited back,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I would assume that is what you need to think about
yeah,
when you are house sitting for
yeah.
someone. Not
Yeah.
Belinda, you talked about how important it is to get good reviews. So your profile is like your Facebook page or your Instagram page, and you're looking for like a Yelp or a Google review so that people know that you're reliable, you're trustworthy. You want the invitations, you want the people to actually come and look for you. But let's say I'm just starting out. I've never really house sat before.
Yeah.
How do I build that? How, if I've never actually sat for a house, how do I build that? How do I help people know that I am somebody that they would want?
A lot of your skills are actually transferable. For example, whatever you did it for a job,
Right.
your
Corporate world
education,
or
even, if you're young,
and
you
you
might
have
have.
pets or
Yeah, and you might have babysat for somebody. You
yes.
might have gone and watered somebody's plants, anything like that. A lot of that is transferable. And when it comes to reviews, you can also get reviews from your employer, maybe your landlord or church elder,
Right.
anyone like that. Any mentor or person of good standing can
Mhm.
also give you a personal review. But there's a really good hack as well, and it's
Okay.
called the weekend sit hack. Yeah, 2-day sits, usually in towns or cities, sometimes take quite hard to fill because they're only for 2 days, and a lot of the more experienced sitters, they don't want a 2-day sit. They want a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm here for 5 weeks at the moment,
Right.
and they're quite hard to fill. So they're very easy for an inexperienced house sitter to be able to get in, and that's all you need. You just need your first sit and you get a great review, but it's called the weekend sit hack. Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
that's a great thing for our listeners to understand is they can get started that way and get some
Yeah.
reviews. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Okay.
Can I just go back to the reviews too?
Yes, please.
A lot of the apps actually allow you to review the homeowner as well.
Okay.
So this is really important because you, as the sitter, can actually check out the homeowner's reviews. And if they've ever had any unreasonable expectations or they've cancelled at the last minute for no reason, obviously emergencies do happen. But if there's any red flags, you can spot them before you even apply. This is really good. It's a great system.
Yes, and I would think it's like Airbnb, the renters as well as the
Yeah.
host,
Yeah.
everybody gets a review. I think that helps people to stay honest, and
Right.
hopefully everyone tries to be as
Yeah.
conscientious as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
Absolutely.
system. Now, do house sitters, if you become one, do you have to purchase insurance or be bonded?
No.
To work or house sit against any potential losses.
No, you don't.
Okay.
And this might change in the future
Yes.
as this becomes bigger.
Bigger
But
and bigger.
this is one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I started this house sitting collective to sort of try and create a proper sort of educational unit to try and regulate it a little bit because
Right.
you see some horror stories and poor homeowners on Facebook going, "Oh my gosh, I had this woman in here and the pets weren't fed," and
No.
all sorts of horrible things like
Yeah.
this. And this is why going through an app is a lot more secure and it's a lot more safe, and also
Mhm.
having this knowledge of what you should do and things. But I think right now it's the reviews are the big ones. So if say hypothetically, if you're a homeowner, you would see my profile and you would go, "Oh my God, she's amazing," because don't have one negative review at all. And if you were a homeowner, I would say, "Oh yes, I want to come and look after your dogs because everyone says what an amazing house it is, how nice you are." How well behaved your dogs are, and all that sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, I have had to write a bad review about a homeowner once, but I also did it in a very diplomatic way
Sure.
where there was room for improvement kind of thing on a
Mhm.
on a report card
Mhm.
for a
Yeah.
job. Because you're not there to be nasty,
No.
but
No.
also, there's been a couple of times when I haven't mentioned that anything on the review, and I've sort of said to them, "Look, you really need to tell people that your dog
has got a behavior issue or
Yeah,
whatever it
or
is.
whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah. And I agree with that because I have to write lots of reviews of hotels and restaurants. I always try to look for positive things and then say, and here's the room for improvement. I might suggest that you try X, Y, and Z,
yeah,
but almost always there's something positive to say
yeah,
and try to give
exactly.
kudos when you can because I think people appreciate that.
Yeah,
Can you tell us about some of the places that you visited? You were saying the place that you're in right now is a gorgeous mansion in Suffolk.
yes.
But can you tell us, have you ever been in any homes, where you house sat for someone who may have been famous or infamous or, any homes that you may have been in that have historical value that you might wanna share with
Yeah.
us?
No, most of the house sits I've been in have been very boring. Maybe the old 200-year-old lovely mansion, but
Well, that's neat.
no, we have a regular house sit up in Scotland that is a converted mill. The original, it's totally modern inside, but the
Yes.
outside mill is 400 years old, and
Wow.
it sits on a river, a
A
burn,
river,
because it's Scottish
yes,
for
of
burn.
course, yeah, yeah.
And the bridge is, over 500
Oh,
years old, and that
wow.
sort of, trickles down beside the house. So, I think mostly it's the places I've been.
Sure.
They really have been quite lovely, and I think Spain was very, very special as well. We stayed
Mhm,
in this beautiful large house just out of Barcelona.
mhm.
And we were able to go into Barcelona quite frequently. It was amazing. When you think about how many times we went into Barcelona, if you were to take that many days and how
Yeah.
much accommodation it was to do that. And actually, just before talk about being able to go and do stuff while you're on a house sit,
Right,
because
right.
this is actually quite important. You are there to look after a pet, but homeowners totally expect that you
Mhm,
will want to go off and do X, Y, Z. But if you've got more sort of senior dogs, you really have to make sure you're there for the medication and
mhm.
that sort of thing. We often sort of try and take a dog with us if we're going to places, but most of the time, a dog can be left for 5 hours. Cats can be left all day.
Sure.
Cats don't care. When I was on Vancouver Island, I actually took a dog on a overnight camping trip, hiking camping trip, and it was so much fun. Obviously with the owner's approval. You can take the pet along as well, but we were literally in Barcelona, 2 or 3, 4 times a week. It was
Mhm.
that we were that close.
That's wonderful. And, speaking of pets, when you say it's often part of the deal, I love pets. I think that's wonderful. I would think that would add to the experience because when you come home and have a pet to love
Yeah,
on and take care of, I think
yeah.
that's fantastic. So, do you find that's the case as well when you travel?
Absolutely. It's very, very grounding, and
Yes.
if somebody's, has had maybe a traumatic experience, or,
Mhm.
they might not be in as good a place as they were, and they're healing. But having a dog or a cat there just to stroke and just
Sure.
to love on can be
Therapeutic.
so therapeutic. It
Mhm.
really is. It really does add to the experience.
Absolutely. I just, if somebody even had horses, because I love horses, just love all animals.
In high demand. Yeah,
Adore that.
often see them, sometimes there's one for, needing someone who can just feed a horse.
Yeah,
So
and muck out stalls, I can do all of those things. I mean, because I'm comfortable with all kinds of animals. I know some people would not enjoy that, but maybe they could take care of plants or
yeah,
yeah, garden or like water the flowers outside and
yeah,
that kind of thing. How cool, though.
yeah.
So, if somebody's interested, because I am, ooh, that sounds so exciting. Tell me, how do I get started? What do I do?
Well, if you go to our website, we've got a lot of
Okay.
information. We do have free information as well. If you want to take that step further and take a course, you will make up that money by doing house sits. It's like for the cost of a few cups of coffee or a couple of
Sure.
meals, it really will give you a great return. That's one way of of doing it. There are Facebook groups for house sitting.
Mhm.
I have concerns about finding house sits on Facebook
Okay.
because you can't vet people. I think maybe just go to our website where we do have a blog. We have some great information. Then, of course, we've got our courses as well. We also have free information, which is very useful, and we can tell
Wonderful.
you all about it.
All right. So tell everybody, spell it out for us. What is your website?
Okay, so it is the House Sitting Collective, which is
Mhm. All
housesittingcollective.com.
one word, right?
Yes, all
Dot
one word.
com or dot org?
Dot
Dot
com.
com.
Yes,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Okay, so you can find basically all the information that you're going to need to get started in house sitting. You're going to find out information about courses, about setting up your profile, how to professionally present yourself so that people who are in the market for someone to sit for their house while they're away, they're going to find you and they're going to say, wow, I really like this person. This person looks awesome. And I really want to hire them to come and sit with my house or with my pets or whatever. And then they'll also be able to sign up for classes to know exactly how to be the perfect professional house sitter that is going to get invited back time after time after time. And Belinda is going to be able to teach you how to do all of those things. Is that right, Belinda?
Yep, absolutely.
I love that. Wow. This has been so wonderful. I can't even believe we have been together for almost an hour.
And also, I forgot that we do have a discount code for all of your
What?
listeners. Yes.
Thank you. So please tell us about that.
So there's 10% off all of our courses for using the code HS Travel. That's H for hotel, S for Sierra, travel.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's fantastic news. Thank you so much. As Belinda mentioned, she is going to offer any of you out there who are interested in getting started in house sitting to go to the House Sitting Collective website, and she's going to give you 10% off any of her courses if you use the code HS Travel. Thank you, Belinda. This is awesome. I just appreciate all the time you've spent with us. We've had a great time. And I'm excited because I want to learn more about this and get involved and understand how I can be a part of this growing professional lifestyle.
Yeah.
I am thrilled that you came on today on A Lady Well Traveled to talk with us. I hope you'll come back because I want to talk with you about all the other wonderful things that you do. Thank yous to all of you who have tuned in. And for those of you who would like to get in touch with me, you can always reach out at Shannon at aladywelltraveled.com. That's Shannon at aladywelltraveled.com. And there's two L's in traveled. And I want you to remember that you can refer us to your friends and family, anybody that you think would benefit from listening to us. We're looking to transform your travel experiences into something much more enjoyable and to bring you closer to God. And I want you to remember that God created this beautiful, beautiful world just for you and me. All you have to do is get out there and see it. So until next time, bye bye.